Hi everybody, Diana here at Sew Uncommon. Welcome to this episode, a place where we can piece and quilt in the hoop. That's what we're all about. And today is the first block for 2023. It's the January block of the month. I'm so excited. I know some of you are really excited as well because you've sent me little comments. Some of you have sent me emails, and I'm so thrilled that you are excited because, as a lot of you know, I've been a quilter for over 55 years. And a few years ago, I had a lot of friends saying, I'd like to quilt, but I don't want to do it on a sewing machine. I'm not huge fan of doing all the stuff on the sewing machine. I can do some sewing on the sewing machine, but I don't want to do it all. I want to do it on my embroidery machine. And I thought, you know what? My goal in life is to bring quilting to everybody who wants to quilt. So if you want to do it on the embroidery machine, that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're dedicated to here at Sew Uncommon. So welcome to all of our subscribers. Welcome to everyone who isn't a subscriber. I hope you see this video and you go, hey, I want to be a part of that community. And if you do, then please subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the little bell to set your notifications, and we are happy and thrilled to have you as part of this community. And welcome, a huge welcome to our brand new subscribers. Just today, there's been a ton of you to subscribe to the channel, and that just fills me with joy because I can just see you all out there making beautiful quilts as we go along. So, a couple of things, just a little housekeeping. Stay and watch through the end of this video because at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can get your free pattern and files for the January block of the month for free, right? And how the month will run, because this block by the end of the month is going to be a project. Okay, so you're going to be doing some beautiful quilting by the end of the month. And I'm also going to tell you how that works and how the month is going to run and how you're going to get your free design. So stay till the end of the video to find that out. So there's so much. Gosh, I feel like maybe I'm leaving things out because there's so much and I'm so excited, and I know you are too. So let me share my screen with you. There we go. And let me flip over to the camera. Hang on, I'm at the wrong camera. Let me bring up this camera. And there we go. And here we are. This is our January block of the month. It's called Game Board. It's a block of my own creation, and it centers around the half square triangle. Now you're going to say, Diana, that block is huge. I don't have a hoop big enough for that. You don't need a block. You don't need a hoop big enough for this because we're going to be doing it in parts. So January is going to kind of work on two ideas. One is we're going to learn how to do the most basic block that we work with in quilting, the half square triangle. You can make whole quilts from just a half square triangle. And this month's project at the end of the month is going to be all made of half square triangles. So whether you have done some traditional quilting and piecing, you're brand new to this hobby and this art form completely, or you're somewhere in the middle, by the end of the month, you are going to be a pro at making the half square triangle. So you're going to know how to do it so easily. It's going to come to you like second nature. But there's also going to be kind of a second idea that we're working with this month. And that is how we can make huge blocks from smaller blocks. So this block is never going to fit in a hoop because there's not a hoop big enough, right? There's not a 12.5 by 12.5 inch hoop out there that I know of. If you know that there is one, I mean, I think some of the high-end machines have big rectangular hoops that could fit this all in one piecing, but I know we don't all have those machines. So we're going to do it by breaking it down into its component parts. And for this month, it's just going to be the half square triangle. So we're going to kind of do those two things this month. So we are going to be doing half square triangles that are 5-inch finished and 2.5 inch finish. That's right, finished. And you're going to say, oh, I don't want to work on that seam allowance for that one. You don't have to worry about that. Your seam allowance for all of this is built right in. That's the great thing about piecing with our embroidery machine. The embroidery design, the design file will have all of that figured out for you. You don't have to worry about it, okay? So the 5 and the 2.5. Now, let's talk about some of the things that you're going to need. First of all, let's talk about a hoop. Both of these blocks fit in a 5x7 hoop. Even the 5-inch finished, it's big enough on the inside to fit in here. If you get the pattern and you put it on your machine with your 5x7 hoop and it doesn't fit, let me know that, because then I'm going to ask you to do a little measuring of the inside of your hoop for me. This is a Brother Baby Lock 5x7, so I know it's going to fit in those. The hoops that are a little more rounded, that's the only one. I think that's Bernina. If you're a Bernina user, please check that out and let me know. And if it doesn't fit, we'll work that out for you. Don't you worry about that. We'll do that. But I've checked this and made this in the 5x7. It works just fine. Okay. And then your 2.5 finishes, of course, fit in there. In fact, you can do a couple of these in this hoop. Okay. So you need at least, now you're going to say, some of you, Diana, I only have a 4x4 inch hoop. That's okay. When you get your free pattern, when you pick it up later, there are blocks in there for people with just 4x4 hoops. Okay. So your block will be slightly smaller overall, but it's still going to be a nice, big, pretty block. Sorry, my phone keeps ringing even though I've turned it off. There we go. Get rid of that. Spam mail anyway, spam phone calls. And so don't you worry about that. Now, not every month will the block be able to be done only in the 4x4, but I will do it as much as possible, because I know some of you are new to this and you only have a 4x4 hoop and you want to give it a try first. And you might want to try it for a while because maybe getting a bigger hoop or a bigger machine isn't in your budget. I get that. But I will try my best to do it for every month, but I can't promise that on some. Okay, I want to be honest with you, but we'll do our absolute best. So these are the blocks for this month, and mostly it will, because the first few months of the year we're going to be working on blocks from some of the very basic, or what I call mother blocks of quilting. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the things you're going to need. You'll need your hoop. You need the biggest hoop you need is a 5x7. If you want to do a little bigger hoop and do a couple in a hoop at a time, you can do that for sure. And there will be files for folks who are doing a 4x4. That's not a problem either. So you're going to need your no-show mesh stabilizer. You can do it as a pre-cut sheet. You can do it off a roll, whatever you like. You can also do a fusible no-show mesh if you like. And I'll show you some special tools you'll need for that, or could use for that. But let me talk about no-show mesh, because one of our lovely guests sent me a comment and said, should I be pre-shrinking my no-show mesh? I've been doing that. I heard you were supposed to, blah, blah, blah. And that is a great question. Now, what some of you, probably a lot of you don't know, is in my before life, before I decided that really I was done with that part of my life and I wanted to move on, and this is what I wanted to do with my life. I am a scientist. I'm a biological scientist, and my husband is a chemist, a working chemist. And so I can tell you without any reservation that this is made of a polyester type of fabric, and it doesn't shrink. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, yes, it does. I've seen it do a 1/4 inch. I know you have, but it's not shrinking. What's really happening on a very molecular level, this is the geeky part, okay? Just bear with me for the geeky part. On a molecular level, it's breaking the bonds and they're collapsing, which is making it pull in a little bit. But that's not because this shrinks. This is because it's being treated wrong. You're using too hot of an iron, you're using steam, or you're getting it too wet so that steam and all and a hot environment is created and it's breaking those bonds. Okay, that's what's really happening. And I really think that you deserve to know what's really happening there. So back to the question, should I pre-shrink? Well, it's not shrinking. So if you're going to wash it and dry it and iron it like that, what you're doing is you're breaking those bonds and you're guaranteeing that it's going to get smaller. I have a bonus video for us coming out next Wednesday because of this very question, where I'm going to go over the proper use of using no-show mesh stabilizer or any kind of a polyester type stabilizer, okay? So that doesn't happen, because trust me when I tell you, you don't need near the heat you think you need, and you don't have to, and you shouldn't be soaking your fabrics and your and getting your stabilizers wet. So watch next Wednesday's video. You're going to like that if that's been a concern for you. On the other hand, I will tell you, if you want to do that pre-shrinking idea, it's not really going to hurt anything. You're not hurting the stabilizer to the point that it's going to have it break down faster over time, okay? So it won't hurt you, but by watching next Wednesday's video, you'll find that you don't need to do all of that to use this kind of stabilizer. That's the end of your science lesson for today. Now we're going to move back into the fun part, right? My science students out there, if any of you are out there from any of my classes, because I know some of you follow me, I'm sorry. I had to get my little professor's hat on there for a second. Sorry. Okay, so you're going to need your stabilizer. Gotcha. Well, let's just leave that here for a second. So if you're going to use that fusible stabilizer, I'm going to highly recommend that you get a tiny little craft iron. I really like this Clover 2. This is the Clover 2. It comes with lots of different attachments, but it comes with 2 of these triangles, and this is the small one. And this is why I like it. When I flip this before I stitch the final stitching, I like to press this seam a little bit to make it lie nice and flat. This doesn't get extraordinarily hot where it's bothering the stabilizer any. And I like that it's just small enough it gets in here. Those other small travel irons that are about this big, I love them. I have them myself, are a little bit big in here. And so they actually get a little hotter. In fact, they can get really hot, and they can cause this to kind of break those bonds a little bit and cause a little weirdness. Or if you're pressing too and pushing too hard, that's also when you can get puckering and stretching and stuff. So don't like really hunker down on it. Just give it a nice light press across. And please, if you're going to use an iron with heat, use this on top of a wool press pad or at your ironing board, something like that. Now, I don't use the fusible no-show, really. A couple of times I have, but traditionally I don't. I told you about that because I had some questions about it, and I always want to answer your questions and be as truthful with you as I can be so that you know what you're doing. I want you to have fun and enjoy this. So today is a real kind of a prep lesson as well as learning this block, okay? So typically, I like using just a seam roller. Any seam roller is fine. I like this wooden one. I don't remember even who makes this. I might have gotten this. It might be Riley Blake, maybe. But check with your local fabric shop, your local craft store, anywhere that carries sewing supplies. You might see these. I like this one, but truly, I have one too that is plastic. It works fine as well. And again, don't really get in here and hunker down on it. Just give it a light roll. You might have to do a light roll twice. A light hand will give you better results in the long run than a heavy hand. That's when you can start running into problems. The same with speed. Slow yourself down, take a breath, get yourself some water, some tea, a glass of wine, whatever you need. Just relax and enjoy, and you're going to have better success and you're going to like things better. Now, when I use this, sometimes I like to use a glue stick to hold my flipped piece down. Not a lot. on the bigger pieces, but on the smaller blocks, it can be helpful. Any fabric glue stick. This is a Fons and Porter. I'm not suggesting you go out and get Fons and Porter. Any good fabric glue stick. Actually, this is just the one they had at my local shop when I bought it a couple weeks ago because I needed a new one. There's one by Sewline that I really like. Elmer's glue stick is fine as well. Now, why Elmer's glue, or what kind of glue are you looking for? You're looking for something that probably would say non-toxic, because those glues are what we call low acid glues, and they work fine for fabric. They're not going to cause degradation and breakdown of your fabric over time. Anything that doesn't say non-toxic on it or for fabric, I would stay away from, okay? As somebody who conserves antique quilts, I'm really careful about that. So anything that says non-toxic or made for fabric will work fine. And also the other thing that you can tell if this is going to work for you, give it a smell. No smell, you're pretty good. If it's got a harsh smell to it, like a really harsh smell, chemically smelled, I'd stay away from that. Hang on. I don't know why my phone is still ringing. Okay. I just turned that off again. So sorry. So when I do that, sometimes I use my glue stick. I'll show you this process today when we go over to the machine. Okay. And then of course you're going to need a good ruler. I like one that has 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4, all that inch markings. This is from Quilter Select if you want to know. I like it that it has this frosting on the back because it's non-slip. I'm like really pushing on this. You can see my knuckles are kind of getting white. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. So it works really good on my fabric too. So now it's moving because this under here is moving against this, but this ruler isn't moving. So it's a great ruler. But anything, this is a 3x12. I love it. It's my all-time favorite ruler. You're going to need a good pair of embroidery scissors for when you need to trim in the hoop. I like them to have a double curve. And also, I like a good pair of thread snips, and these are from Karen K. Buckley, if you're curious about that. Of course, you'll need a rotary cutter, and I know you've all got these. So all those regular kinds of things. Now, with your pattern and your instructions and designs today, you're also going to get a file so that you can cut out your templates. Because today I'm going to show you how to use pre-cut pieces. In the future, we'll do some with not with pre-cut pieces, but I thought we should go ahead and learn that process. You can go ahead and print it out on regular copy paper. If you do, please use a temporary adhesive spray on the back of it, and just like just a quick spray, and use it till that spray goes away. Then do another quick kind of spray. 505 is one I really love. June Taylor is also a nice one because it's a nice low tack. Again, it's that idea of low acid, so it's going to work for your fabric. But you can also use these printable sticky back template papers. I think OESD has one. I think Dime has one. There used to be another woman who had one, but I'm not sure that it's still being made. So you can look around for these. Ask at your local fabric store. They should be able to help you with these if you want these. I like them. I've been using this one for everything. This is my bigger one, and it's still got plenty of stick that I can keep going, but it's made for fabric. For sure, make sure that it's made for fabric, okay? This is for the 5, and this is the one for the 2.5. Now, I know you're saying those are bigger than 5 and 2.5. They are, because your templates have your seam allowance and all built in. So they're a little bit bigger than your finished block is going to be. So you're going to get those as well. Okay, let us go over to our machine now. I need to come in here and flip my camera. There we go. There we go. Now we're at our camera. I have my hoop loaded with my stabilizer. Now this is my 6x6 hoop. If you have a brother or a baby like, oh, I'm sorry, I just knocked it and just sent it flying. There we go. There we go. If you have a brother or a baby lock machine, a 6x6 hoop is going to be your best friend for piecing in the hoop. Otherwise, I would stick with your 5x5. That would be great. Like I said, if you want to do more than one in a hoop, that's fine as well. Check out last Sunday's Gosh, I'm really tight in here, and every time I move, I'm shaking stuff. I apologize. Check out last Sunday's video on stabilizers and hoops for more about that. And then Wednesday's bonus video that's coming is going to be all about working with this stabilizer. So here we are. I have my design set up over here on my machine. So I'm just going to set this, and I think I'm going to do something. Oh no. Okay, there we go. We're going to let it go. My machine's been having some problems with not picking up bobbin thread, so I hope it's not going to give me a problem. Oh, and it is. Okay, well, dang it. That is not a problem with the design. That is a problem with how my machine is, my bobbin is set a little too tight, and I need to fix that. So if you have thread that's coming out like that and not catching, that's typically because the bobbin is too tight or your top thread is too tight. And one way to fix that is draw up your bobbin thread before you even start. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so, but by the time that's done, because it went back over it, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to snip that extra little thread that didn't hold because I don't need it. So why have it in there? There we go. Get rid of that. There we go. So now what you saw it do is it stitched out the entire box, and then this line is because it's stitched out where we're going to place our first piece of fabric. Now you may have used other companies' block designs where they stitch out a whole map and they give you maybe numbers. That's all fine if you are using those companies, and that's fine. This is how I digitize my blocks because I find it to be just a tiny bit simpler. So I am going to lay down now my first piece of fabric, which is my lighter side fabric. And that is because when I flip my second fabric, I'm not going to get any shadowing through. You'll see what I mean. So we're going to lay that on here. And it's big enough that I make sure, and I can feel my little seam right there. So I know that there's plenty of space all around my seams because I'm going to lay that right there. I'm going to press, and now we're going to stitch out our next piece. This is piece 1. You'll get pictures in your instruction. I've been taking pictures with this very fabric so that you will see exactly in pictures as well if you don't want to have or can't have the video going when you're doing your own block, okay? So there we go. Now, a lot of times you will hear to cut this back closer to your seam line. I don't do that because the size I'm giving you really leaves your seam allowance in just a tad bit there, and I find that it works out fine. So let's remove this from the hoop for a second so you can see it better. So there it is. It's all stitched out. There we go. It's all stitched out. Now I'm going to lay down my second piece of fabric. First piece of fabric, folks, is always laid right side up, so it stitches out the whole piece. Every other piece is going to start out right sides together on top of the last piece. So I am laying my secondary fabric on top. There's my seam line, right? So I don't want to lay this right on the seam line because then it's not going to catch, right? So I like to lay it where I have literally just a sliver of my bottom fabric showing. See that? Just a sliver. And then we're going to put this back under. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. We're going to close that and we're going to go ahead and stitch this down. Now at this point, I haven't had to use any glue stick or anything like that. And these pieces are big enough that I can easily control them just by keeping my fingers out of the way, right? Now, here comes the part where I might want to use a glue stick and my seam roller. So my next part, let's flip this up and take this out again, is to take this top piece and flip it over. So flip it over, and then it's going to stitch out. But see how that's a little puffy right there? That's where your seam roller comes in. And to get this to lay down easily, I'm going to take my glue stick, and I'm literally just going to run one little line of glue, just like that. Hardly anything at all, right? You don't need a lot. And then I'm going to roll this over or flip this over and give it a little finger press. And then I'm going to take my seam roller and roll just to kind of flatten that out. See, now it's there. It's nice. This is being held down. I don't have to worry about it not staying where it needs to stay. Now I'm going to put this back on the machine. And I always hold, I'm a hugger, so I'm kind of hugging my fabric. I guess that's kind of what I do. But I'm going to start that. Now it's going to stitch and hold the bottom part down. I wasn't really good about checking my fabric. I should have moved that down a little bit. If that ever happens and you're like, oh, my seam isn't great there, it's a little shy, that's actually a 1/4 inch, so it's fine. But I should have made sure that I balanced my fabric a little bit better there, but it's no problem at all. And now I've got one more step to do where we're going to stitch all the way around it again. That's going to lock in both the top fabric and the bottom fabric all together. And then guess what? We're done making our first half square triangle. Was that easy peasy or what? Seriously. I honestly don't know if I could have done a regular traditional one quite that fast. These stitch out really quick. This whole stitching process on my machine was 2 minutes at 700 stitches per minute. So now let's flip back over to our other camera. Gosh, it really rocks. I need to work on not touching the desk where it's attached. I'll have to work on that. Let's come back into here and bring in our full camera. There we go. So here we are. There is our piece. There's our first block. And yeah, I should have put that a little bit better, but it's fine. I've got enough seam allowance there. I'm not worried about it. So now I just take this out. I take it, well, let's take it out. I would do this over at my cutting board. I'm thinking about actually like getting a small cutting board to put right here on my table so that it's always ready. I don't have to walk over the other side of the room. I'm horribly lazy that way these days, getting too old. And so now I would come in here. Now I'm a lefty, so I would put my 1/4 inch mark right on that seam. And I would just take my cutter, and I'm not actually going to cut because this is not a cutting board. And I would just cut straight down there all the way around. And then I would have my beautiful half square triangle. Wasn't that easy? So in the instructions, you're also going to get all the instructions for putting your block together, but I want to discuss that with you briefly. So I didn't have another block like this done, but we're going to use this one and pretend that it's this color, okay? So when you're putting them together, you're going to put them together so that your dark is all in the middle for your center block, your big part of the block. Let's bring in our actual block. So see, they're all in the middle, right? Okay, pretty easy there. But I want to talk to you about putting them together because you're actually going to put them together over on your sewing machine. Could you do these on your embroidery machine? Yes, I could have done it that way, but you can't put the whole block together that way unless you have a really super big embroidery hoop, and not everybody does. So we're going to do it this way. This is all the sewing you'll have to do at your sewing machine, and it's so simple. So remember, you have this stitch line all the way around, and you've trimmed it at a 1/4 inch. So that is your perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. So when you put your blocks together, to stitch them together at the sewing machine, I want you to come in with your needle and place it right on that line, okay, right on that line. And then I want you to take your controls on your sewing machine and move your needle one click, just one, to this side of the line, right? So it's on the line, one click. That's all. Do not move it 2, do not move it 3. Don't think, oh, if she said 1, 2 will be better. No, that's going to get your seams off kilter, okay? Just 1. And then sew right down that line, okay? Because there's not enough difference between this line and this line for that to change your seam allowance. But if you do 2 clicks, then it is changing your seam allowance. So 1 click. And the reason I want you to do that is because then when you open, so we've got our blocks closed, when we open them, we don't see this line, okay? And honestly, occasionally I do see that line because I've not been watching and I get a little wonky when I sew. It doesn't bother me, okay? And it shouldn't bother you either, but I know for some folks it does. So we're going to make sure that it doesn't. So if you go on the line, 1 click to the inside, you're not going to end up seeing this sewing line when you turn your block out. What you will do is you're going to do 2 blocks like this twice. So your upper and your lower, and then you'll seam them together the same way, because remember, you have that seam, and you can see right here, there are those seam lines. They're hidden. They're on the back side now, but I haven't changed my seam allowance because it's just that 1 click. Then you are going to create your 2.5-inch finished blocks. You're going to create 4 of them, and in the pattern it will tell you how to lay them out. You're going to sew these 4 together, and then you're going to sew it to your bigger block. Then you're going to make 5 of those, what I call the baby half square triangles, and then you're going to sew those 5 to the bottom. Or this could be the top, or it could be the side. So by the time the end of the month comes, you're going to see how this block is basically going to end up with an interior design and a border design all the way around it, just by doing your center block and your 2 sides. So that is our block of the month, the game board. Do you see why I called it the game board? This is your board. This is like the outside track where you move your pieces. I hope you saw that. I hope that made sense to you. Now let's go to this slide, because I want to tell you how you get your free block of the month pattern and how the block of the month scenario, how we're going to work. So to get your free pattern with your instructions, with the pictures and all that, and your actual design files for all the major machine formats. So if you have a brother or a baby lock or a Janome or a Pfaff, Husqvarna Viking, Bernina, a Singer, Elna, all of those design files are in a compressed file. Just open it up, pick the one you want. I'm sure you've done that before with other embroidery designs. Works the same exact way. Just go to www.sewincommon.com. That's my website. Either up at the top, go into the shopping area, or down at the bottom, you'll come down and you'll see like a preview shopping area. It will probably be like the first or the second one there. Just click on it there. Either way, drop it in your cart, check out. There is no cost at all for the block of the month, and there won't be for the entirety of 2023. Each month, your block will be free to you, okay? Then that's going to be week 1, intro to the block of the month, okay? Just like we did today, with less of the science geeky stuff, I promise. Week 2 of the month is going to be inspiration week, where we're going to talk about different fabrics, maybe some history if the block has a history. So for this block, since I made it up, there's no history except that I made it up. but I can tell you the inspiration by why I made it up. And we'll talk about colors. In fact, this coming week, on week 2, in the inspiration video, I'm going to give you my favorite color matching hack. I know a lot of you worry about how to match up colors. Well, I'm going to give you my favorite color matching hack that I was taught when I took an art class when my husband was flying in the US Navy years ago. On base, they would have little classes and stuff that people could take, and I took an art class because I'm horrible at like drawing stick figures. That's my speed, right? But I learned this color hack then, and it works perfectly for fabric. So that's coming in week 2, the inspiration week. So that's what week 2 will be about. Week 3, we're going to talk about the finished quilting design. I am going to be creating and digitizing either an edge to edge or a block by block design that I feel works perfect with this block given what the end project is going to be. If it is something that you will like, you will be able to purchase that finished quilting block design at my website. And it's going to be a very minimal cost for the design. Okay, we're talking a few dollars. That's all. Then week 4. Now, week 4 is to me is going to be very special because 1, it's going to be live. So normally on Sunday, I set these videos to go live at midnight Sunday, right? But on Sunday of week 4, we will meet live on YouTube at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 3 p.m. on the East Coast, to 1 o'clock Mountain Time, and 12 noon Pacific Time. If you can't meet with us when we're live, remember the video is always there for you. No problem at all. And so it will be live. I will be taking any questions that you have regarding the month's block or regarding any of like the bonus videos that come out throughout the month, because I'm not only doing this block of the month series, there will be other bonus ones like the one that's coming up this coming Wednesday on using polyester batting. But week 4 is also going to be when I present you with the finished project for the month, something that we will quilt. You can quilt it with the finished quilting design from week 3, or you can quilt it with any quilting designs you have. Maybe you want to quilt it. Maybe you're really good at quilting with your sewing machine and you want to do it that way. That's fine. But since we're mostly about doing it all on our embroidery machine, any embroidery quilting design will work great as well if you want to use it. But the project pattern, again, will be for purchase at a very minimal price on the website, because there might be a month you don't want to do the project. That's fine. So this is how the projects are going to work though, because they're going to build throughout the year. The January project, we're only doing half square triangles, right? Because we're starting with our base. That project will have only that block, the game board block that we've talked about today. Then in February, I'll introduce a new block, but the pattern, the project at the end of the month will have February's block that you've gotten for free off the website and January's block. March's project will have March's block, February's block, and January's block. So each month, the project will be a conglomerate of all the blocks we've done so far in the year. So by the time we get to the end of the year, you're going to have 12 beautiful blocks. And let me tell you briefly how the end of the year will work, because we will not be doing a block of the month in December. In November, you will receive a November block and a December block. And the project at the end will combine all 12 blocks for the year, because December is just too busy. It's holidays. Yes, I'll have little videos and stuff to come out, but I don't want us to have to be working on things together when we do that, okay? So now go get your free video or your free design and start making your game board blocks. I can't wait. Please, please leave comments. Send me emails. In fact, well, before we go there, let me just talk about week 5, because some of our months have 5 weeks. If there is a 5th week in the month, that week's Sunday video will be a mystery video. Okay, so just wanted to let you know that. Let's go back now to my main screen. Let's remove the shared. There we go. So now go get your pattern, go get your block, start making it. And please, 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 I beg you, post pictures with the hashtag sewincommon. Okay, that way I can see them. I can share them in the next week's video. Hey, Sue made this one. Hey, Jan made this one. And trust me, there is 0 to the negative bazillion judgment on what fabric you use, how you put them together. Nothing like that, because we're all just here to have fun and stitch together, right? But I want to see your blocks. It makes me so happy to see them. And again, drop me a comment here on the YouTube channel if you have a question, or drop me a comment at my website at sewincommon.com. Do I have my actual email there? My email is diana@sewincommon.com. So either just go to the website and you can drop me an email there. That's probably the easiest way. And then we will move on. So I can't wait to see what you're going to do with the game board, how you like it. Again, if you like this video and you want to be a part of the community and all, we'd love to have you subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out, because it helps this algorithm that YouTube uses to push this out so everybody gets to see it. But I would love to have you part of the community. That's really why I'd love for you to subscribe, because I would really love for you to be an ongoing part of the community. And I love to see that. And I can't thank you all enough, because the way this community is growing right now is kind of makes my head swim a little bit, but I'm so grateful to you all. So as I always say, and you'll get used to this because you're going to hear me say it a lot. You're going to see me write it a lot, because I believe it. You are all artists in your own way. You want to do this because something inside you loves this idea of creating. So here at Sew in Common, we believe everyone is an artist in their own right, and everyone should go and sew life beautiful. Until Wednesday's video, because we're going to have a bonus this week. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now, everybody.